Hello friends, welcome to this live stream in which we discuss about the latest business information and some tricks and tips which will help you to run your business and also plan your future prospects for your company and for yourself. And today we have a very interesting subject to discuss, and that is about the new investment by the Amazon Web Services into two startups. And I think this is something which is very interesting, and these are all space related startups. And it is interesting to see that the Amazon AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, is now investing in the Indian space startups. And this is quite interesting, and that is why let us evaluate this information and find out what are the opportunities available for the budding entrepreneurs and also existing one. And if somebody is looking for new investment opportunities, then the space exploration is a very lucrative area because of the advancement that ISRO and the Indian government is showing. So let us analyze this in little bit more detail. Well, first of all, the Indian space program is managed and governed directly by the PMO office in India. And you know that the ministers are given ministries in India, and then they run these ministries. They become the head of these ministries, like railways, finance, and so on and so forth. So the space exploration is directly under the PMO. That means Prime Minister Modi himself is watching on the progress and development when it comes to space exploration space program, and the funding is also happening. So you can imagine that this portfolio is being so much gaining so much importance that Prime Minister himself is very keen for the development of Indian space program. So there are ISRO, which is the government owned agency, and so far for last many decades ISRO has been sending Indian rockets and developing their indigenous capability to send Indian probes into space, but after this new government has come 8 years back, they methodically started the Indian space program with private partnerships. So there are a lot of startups coming up in this space, and there are many actually. So we will talk about two startups today and the Amazon, what they are doing with these two startups. So let us understand where the private partnership has progressed to what level. So you know that there are various variants of the space launching vehicles, and there is one which is called the PSLVs, which is capable of sending satellites into the polar orbits, polar synchronous orbit around the earth. So just like we have the satellites roaming around, or in the trajectory around the earth, near the equator, there is another orbit which is possible around the earth, which goes over the poles. And that kind of a launch vehicle requires a totally different dimension, and that rocket is called the PSLV, developed by ISRO, which is the Indian Space Research Organization. And 5 of the PSLVs are being domestically produced entirely by private bodies. So while we know that, I wanted to bring your attention to this, what is PSLV and what is why it is so specific. But 5 of these launch vehicles are being developed by Larsen and Toubro and HAL, and these are all private entities. HAL is a enterprise owned by the government, but L&T is a private entity. So you can imagine that the push which is coming for the space launch vehicle, and also the public private partnership, is so important when it comes to this particular program. And there is another company which is known as OneWeb. In fact, if you are watching our shows, we have covered OneWeb extensively. You can actually watch that video, what is OneWeb. But OneWeb is actually a satellite communication service, very similar to Elon Musk Starlink, but this is owned by Bharti Enterprise, majority stake. This company is based out of UK, headquartered in UK, and this is owned by Airtel, which is Bharti Enterprise, and they are very close to cover the entire globe in couple of months. Few months back, ISRO had placed their 30 satellites into orbit in one launch. And in order to cover the entire globe, OneWeb requires only couple of launches when they actually overtake Elon Musk initiative of Starlink, and using their OneWeb satellites, they will be able to provide high-speed broadband services from space across the entire globe. So this is something which is again a private enterprise and making big strides. Indian private enterprise making big stride into the space technology. So remember this, friends, because I wanted to give you the entire picture before we talk about the current investment of AWS into two startups. Then when the satellites are being launched and satellites are going to provide internet services directly beamed down to your homes, to your cars, and it will actually revolutionize the use of data. Therefore, it is important that the control or the data gathered, the internet, gathering the data, what happens is that the data is gathered, then brought down to some data center. Then Amazon will use the predictive analytics and machine learning on AI engines to work on the data. Instead, what AWS wants is that their technology should be used in space so that the faster processing of data can be done while the data is in transit. So they collect the data about users from across the world, apply their AI engines to that data, and then while it is in transit, it has not reached their data centers. And that is why this is experimental at this point in time, and therefore AWS is going to invest in two startups in India which will carry out these initiatives. That means testing of the AWS cloud and AI machine learning environment into space, and then they test out and they will identify what are the advantages we get by doing that. And of course, before the data is stored into data center, then something else comes in. There is a lot of time wastage. So in order to really benefit the high-speed internet services, which is now being beamed directly from the space, it is required that the data processing is done while in transit, even before it start hitting the data center. So that is why this experiment is extremely important. And as I said that AWS, which is the Amazon Web Services, and the e-commerce is one of the integral part of the Amazon services, but then there are several services Amazon provide, and therefore the data analytics AI based engine is extremely important for scaling up the Amazon services across the world, starting from India. And India is a very large country in terms of land mass, also in terms of population. And the beauty of India is that it is completely democratic, completely safe. People are English speaking and very, very literate, and therefore everybody uses the data, and they want the data to be readily available wherever they want. So the need of the people are also very quite advanced when it comes to usage of Amazon cloud and AI ML engines. And that is why this experiment is going to be very, very critical. And imagine, friends, I mean, if this kind of services are being available, where the data processing and the AI is on your customer data is done on the fly, the advantage you can offer to your client if you are on Amazon cloud infrastructure is that you can actually provide them better experience. You can actually start using the better services around your own business if you're hosting yourself on the Amazon platform. And this way, the batch processing of your businesses will be thing of the past. That instant order processing will take place, and that will save a lot of your time. And you know that faster processing of your orders will actually free up a lot of your staff to do something else, or probably you can deploy your staff into running more efficient business. And that is why, as per the theoretical study, AWS is saying that by doing this, they will be able to create almost 50% efficiency in addition to what efficiency they have today. So 42% to be precise, but it's a lot of efficiency they are going to build by taking their AI engines directly to the satellites and processing of data while they are in transit before the data start hitting the data centers which are on the earth. And that is why this project is extremely exciting, extremely important. And the two startups that have have been invested by AWS. There is a company called DOrbit and Unipup, and both of these startups are extremely high tech. They are developing a lot of the AI ML based technologies, and they have the expertise of building small satellites. So that is why AWS has chosen to invest in them, so that the DOrbit and Unipup will basically create the models, AI models and machine learning models, which will eventually be loaded onto the satellites, communication satellites. And while the data is being collected by various methods, the satellite itself will have the capability, and when we talk about AI, it's basically having the learning capabilities. So from this standpoint, the project is going to be very, very important for the global economy, not only for Indian economy, but for the global economy. So if if you are a businessman and if you're watching this program, you would know that this project will bring so much change, especially starting with Amazon, but then it will bring a lot of change, because if Amazon is doing this kind of work, imagine what other large e-commerce websites or even gaming websites will do in order to provide better gaming experience to the gamers across the world, better communication platform, better media and entertainment. So a lot of complexities are going to be built, especially now the space industry business itself is expected to grow rapidly, and it is now projected that space industry business will actually surpass $1 trillion by 2040. So this area is growing very rapidly. In fact, I don't know whether you have seen this news couple of days back. There is a 19-year-old kid who has developed a satellite which will be launched by ISRO. Imagine a 19-year-old student developing a satellite for communication, a small satellite which will be put in orbit by ISRO. So I think everybody is trying to invest in this new field, and it is going to cross $1 trillion. It's a lot of money. So think about it, friends, and if you are in business, I think this is something that you must consider as an opportunity. And that is why Amazon has started investing in this area also. Apart from their other 20 businesses they have, it's not only e-commerce. Amazon has many other services. They provide hosting services, they provide different kinds of services, and they are investing in the space industry in India. So this is very exciting. So friends, I've come to the end of this business ideas, tips and tricks. If you have any question, feel free to send in, and I will definitely reply in the most timely manner. But as always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next edition of Business Tips Shows. Bye bye.